watch you, in this comedy world change almost like a chameleon a few times. But when I say change, meaning to your point, shift in other directions and then become great at that. LeBron's done that 3 times with 3 different teams, bro. 3 different. If you look at each one of his stints in each one of those cities, it's a Hall of Fame career. 3 separate times, dog. Come on, y'all. Let's
Yeah, no,
stop.
not to take nothing. No, we're going to be on the same page with this. I think that Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time because of the reasons that I stated for stopping, basketball and then jumping into something else. But that's not to take anything away from LeBron James, who, by the way, like Michael Jordan, had these tremendous expectations when he came out of high school.
Yeah.
But they're like, yo, he's the number one guy. And that definitely fulfilled that prophecy. Um, LeBron James is, again, if you want to put him in that top 100 and top 25 or top 10 in basketball history, yes. He broke a record that I thought him that would never be broken. That was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring title and all the other titles. But the one thing that as far as basketball is concerned, yes, on the court, I believe that Michael Jordan was the best. He won Defensive Player of the Year and the scoring title in 1 year. That was unheard of. Now, why I love LeBron James is the fact that the way he moves off the court. The way he moves off the court, this is a man that's in his late 30s and throughout his career, never heard the scandals, not the other baby mothers. He doesn't have 15 baby mothers.
He and to your point, Shawn, he put his men on. Good, bad, and different. Not only, the cats who he, was in high school with, but then there's other general men who he had, gone through this process with and has helped make all of them be great in their own right. Again, like I said, we could go on and on for days and days, but before we get into all of that, because I think Prophet P already got the show rolling.
Okay.
First and foremost, we gotta say, hey, sorry, it's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you without a strong beat to step to, but we back. Y'all know we added the one man over here to the other side of me, the great Shawn Harvey, one of the greatest and funniest comedians in the game. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check out his morning show, please check out the Shawn Harvey Morning Show every morning, 7 a.m. You can catch it on various platforms. He'll go into that a little bit deeper when he gets on. Our brother in success and our brother, here on the show had some family issues that he had to deal with, so he won't be joining us tonight. But as always, first and foremost, we want to thank you. It's Motivational Monday. We back, baby. We looking like we never left. We winning chips. Everything is good. But bigger and better than that, we always start the show off usually with talking about how our weekend was. So I'm going to kick it off and tell my brother Shawn Harvey here, I had an absolutely phenomenal weekend. I had the pleasure of seeing one of your brothers in success, Mr. Rodney Perry, at the Harlem Comedy Club Friday and Saturday night, and watched that man rip it down. JP Justice was in the building, and Joe Kelly was in the building, and a few other people. So it was really dope to see everybody come on out and to do their thing. I promise you, if you have or have not had the opportunity to see any of these great comedians live, please do yourself a favor. Go see them at the various places they are. Shawn Harvey has a ton of wonderful spots that he's doing out there in Pennsylvania. He makes it his business to come down to New York once a month, bring his morning show and his morning show team to Harlem. If you haven't been, you got to come down there and check it out. It's an incredible show. Y'all know talent. You see flyers for talent everywhere. You ain't sure where talent's going to be. He could be performing in your mama basement. He just got that kind of power. But any and all these gentlemen are absolutely phenomenal to watch. I also had the opportunity to go see some of my dudes do a once a month thing every first and third Saturday in Harlem at Row House. That was incredible, called Beautiful People. So the weather's warm. We're finally getting into that summer-like energy. Get out the house. Get around some people. Be in positive energy. Be around people who are going to make you smile. Be around people who are going to pour into you. Be around people who are going to make you feel good. I love doing the show because that's what this show is about. It's called Motivational Monday because my job, Shawn's job and Talent's job is to motivate you. I know most of y'all come off the weekend, you had a great weekend, and you're like, it's Monday. I hate this. But you can't hate Mondays because it's just another chink in the armor. And if you do yourself the service of making your life great, every day is great. So then Monday is just Monday and Tuesday is just Tuesday. But I say all that to say I had a great weekend. I'm going to turn it over to my brother in success, like I said, the great Shawn Harvey, and I'm going to let him talk to us and tell us how his weekend was, and then we're going to get into the show. Let's do it.
Well, once first and foremost, it's good to see you, brother. It's good to have all these people that are supporting Motivational Monday this glorious Monday evening. Same thing. I had a great weekend as a comedian. You know, I did some private events because comedians sometimes we do private events, not things that are not posted on social media. So I was blessed to do some private events, and you know, by the grace of God, you know, have folks laughing. And I think that's I believe in my bottom of my heart, that's my true purpose on this earth. Also, just good vibes and good energy. You're right. The weather was great this weekend. I placed myself in situations to be around dope, positive people. You know, the old saying is, you know, birds of a feather flock together.
Yes, sir.
Tell me who you hang out with, and I'll tell you who you are. And sometimes just being around just positive folks can make just that moment or that day a better day for everyone that's involved. And Rodney Perry, legend in the game. Love Rodney Perry. I knew he was in Harlem over the weekend, and I know he probably tore it down as usual. And just some good people and just a good person to have in your life. So shout out, I want to give his flowers up to Rodney Perry for coming to New York and entertaining the home base. Now, I want to say that, you know, we got into, you know, everybody before the show started, we did, you know, was doing our pre-show, and we was talking about basketball. You know, we were talking about that as we started the show. And I just want to throw this out there to you, Amir, if you don't mind. And it's good to see you. And it goes to Motivational Monday. Talent and I, shout out to the New York King. I hope all is well with him. Yesterday, we had a conversation about basketball, about the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. And our conversation, Amir, was literally no more than 30 seconds long because we both came to the conclusion that the Denver Nuggets were going to beat the Miami Heat. So we went on to the next conversation. But you know what I learned? The Miami Heat didn't think that the Denver Nuggets were going to beat them. Because in their soul, regardless of what people thought about them, regardless of everybody saying it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to lose, that organization was the only one, and their supporters that said, you know what, they believed in themselves. Like on a Motivational Monday, what more motivation can you have when everybody is saying, you know what, they're going to lose? And what did they do? They came out and they won the game. Not only did they win the game, they won the game convincingly. But what does that? But what's the Amir Silly? What's the message in that? How many times have we sat there and even doubted ourselves? We can't do this. That ain't gonna happen. There's no way. There's no way I can do this. And then we do it and we complete something. The Miami Heat showed me last night, that all the naysayers, that doesn't need to be in your head. You don't allow the naysayers to rent space in your head on a Motivational Monday. And I was one of the naysayers. But what did what's the name? Butler, what's the name?
Butler. Jimmy Butler.
They called him Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy Butler and his whole crew, they didn't let that noise infiltrate they cipher. They went out there and won the game. Yes. Amir, what does that say to you, brother? What does that tell you?
You know what's so crazy, and I'm glad that you definitely brought that up, because I think that one of the things that we have to understand, and you really nailed it with that specific point. Everybody who's listening, everybody who's going to see this later or at some point, you have to understand and have such a belief in yourself, such a drive, such a understanding, such a focus that it doesn't make a difference what anybody says. You know in your heart of all hearts, you believe in your heart of all hearts, you know that there's nothing standing between you and greatness but you. And so many of us on this Motivational Monday and on every day, that's one of the things that a lot of us struggle with, myself included, because you have days where you can do something and the praise and or the accolades will come, and people will say things that build you up and fill you up and put you in energy and in a space where you need to be. But then the moment that one negative thought kind of creeps in, you're back to almost, feeling like you got hit by a shot, like if you were a boxer and somebody caught you with a good shot. You're like, oh shoot, wait a minute, I'm rocked a little bit here. My faith isn't as strong as it could and it should be. And I think that, Shawn makes an absolutely phenomenal point on our Motivational Monday. Everyone, do the best that you can to always have no doubt if and when you're going into something about you, something that you believe in your heart of all hearts, something that nobody else is prepared to walk with you. That's the first part. The second part of that is understanding what I just said. It's your journey. It's your vision. It's your utopia. So that means that your friends, your family, your siblings, whoever, they can't see what you can see. They only can possibly get a feeling for it because of your passion about it. But they really can't see what you can see because they're not walking your journey. They might be helpful. They might assist. They might even, again, just like Shawn said, be naysayers. You ain't never going to achieve that. But like you said, the Miami Heat yesterday proved you could have all the naysay you want. I know what I'm built like. I know what I'm built for. And I think the Miami Heat showed that. And I promise you, if each and every one of you will find that inner strength for yourself, I don't care what your journey is. I don't care what it is you're trying to achieve. That's what this show is about. That's what Motivational Monday is about. Finding that one thing for you that constantly drives that engine so that you can get and achieve the things that you're looking to achieve. Dope beginning, Shawn. I'm glad you brought that up, brother.
Yeah, it's they say practice makes perfect. And sometimes we use these slogans and these little affirmations and we minimize them. And I do know that in life, we go through these hurricanes every day. We go through these self-doubts every day. Sometimes, even for me, I wake up in the morning, oh God, here we go. And sometimes that's a natural reaction. I think we all go through. But there's moments of clarity that for me, I get, and I'm like, wait a minute, okay, yeah. Let me get out that funk. Let me walk out this door and for me, try to allow myself to be the best version of myself today. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. But to tone that noise down, there is a certain amount of work that we have to put in. We all got to put in the work. There's a certain amount of repetition that we have to say. Sometimes, what they used to say, fake it till you make it. Sometimes you got to go outside. Yeah, I'm going to have a great day. Even though you might not believe I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to have a great day. You walk out the door, you sound like an idiot. I'm going to have a great day, great day, great day, great day, great day. You say it all the time. And one day, for all of us, we might say, you know what? I'm going to have a great day.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You know what's so amazing about that, Shawn? And again, another great point that you brought up, because one of the things that I've found is, through the fact that we have social media and, all these various things where you can, get information from now. And I challenge everybody. Don't just look at the funny TikTok videos. Don't just look at the possible fights at the Waffle House and all kind of, obscure, crazy stuff like that. Sometimes in between all of that, there is some really powerful and good information. And I know I've seen videos, and I'm sure some of you have, where it says, there's a couple of ways to set your day and to set the tone. Sometimes it starts at night because, to be honest with you, they say when you go to sleep, that's when your subconscious is at its strongest, power. So what I try to do before I go to sleep, some call it prayer. Some might say it's what you call it, not manifesting, but like when you take a moment and you quiet, everything. And I do that every evening before I go to sleep. I really, say the things that I would love to see in my day the next day, or see things going on in my life. So it could be everything from hopefully and thankfully my family continues to be healthy and prosperous, and then I move on to my friends and extended family and so forth and so on. But I do this on a nightly basis because I want to go to sleep programming myself to hopefully wake up into what I said that I wanted to see happen. And the one thing that so many of us don't really understand is the power of not only our minds but the power of our spirits and our faith. Again, Shawn touched on it off, jump right in. A lot of you don't understand how powerful a being you truly are. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying a good portion of us don't. But we don't understand it because, to be fair, we're also afraid of it. And I say that because here's just some things to think about. If any of you who've ever had a deja vu, you're time traveling. I know that that's a lot to unpack in such a short moment, but I want you to think about this. You're time traveling. The reason why you're time traveling is because you either say to yourself, this happened before, or I said this before, which means if you're in the present moment, how did you already do it? So that's one thing for y'all to think about. Next for you to think about is the ability, if this happens to you, because I've spoken to some of my friends and some people and they say they don't have these. If you've ever had a dream and you've seen somebody from your family who may have passed on, but in your dream, you got to hang out, you got to talk to that person, you got to be in and around them. Again, you're time traveling. You got to think about that. They're no longer in this realm, because don't forget, there's realms. I know that, again, a lot to unpack, but I want y'all to really start to just think about some of these things, because what's happening, and the reason why I say you're scared of it is because if you do dream, and let's say you see your sibling or you see your mom or you see your dad or somebody like that, what tends to happen is you wake up from it and you're like, wait a minute, was that real? And it was. What you had an opportunity to do was subconsciously leave this realm and go into another one. If you don't think that there are other realms, look at us physically. I'm sure each and every one of you has had a moment where maybe you, if it's not you personally, but maybe it's your children or something like that, they do something and you be like, oh snap, that's just like Uncle such and such, or that's just like Aunt such and such. You know why? Because this physical, avatar that we have, and that's what it is just a shell of what this energy is, because each and every one of us are energy. And I know, again, for some of y'all, it's kind of hard to unpack that. Like, what do you mean with energy? I liken it to this, and Shawn knows because I've been on this show and we've talked about it. He's got a radio show, but let's just take the regular radio shows that you know of in your city. You got a radio show that usually plays old school R&B. So every now and again, you turn to that radio station, you're in your car, you drive and you walking, or you're going through work, you're grooving. You mess around, you turn to the station that's supposed to be for the younger generation. And maybe the music isn't as forthcoming and as loving as you'd like it to be. So then you quickly turn from that station because you're like, this is irritating to me. Vibrations and energy is what we all latch on to. And Shawn touched on it a minute ago when he said, you hanging around, dope people and wonderful people. That's because your vibrations are aligned. And what happens is, as he said, we have all these wonderful sayings. You find your tribe. That's one way to look at it. But you're finding your tribe because you're finally coming to grips with who you are and what you mean to the world and what you bring to the world. And I know for some of us, we tend to do this. I'm going to look over there and see what Shawn's doing. Your job isn't to look and see what Shawn is doing. Yes, you can look to see what Shawn is doing, meaning if I could be supportive of him, if I could help him, let me do so. But technically speaking, you're supposed to be running your race. And if and when those lines cross each other, they cross each other. But that's not what you're supposed to be looking to do. And far too often, so many of us, that's what we become scared of. I'm not where I need to be, but Shawn is, so far beyond. Shawn is supposed to be where he is because he's running his race.
Yes.
Amir, where he's supposed to be is because he's running his race. But when you start to take ownership of that, when you start to sit in it and really drink it in and understand it, it changes the game for you, because now you're not in competition, but anybody but one person. And that's you. Because that's the greatest competition. It ain't other people. It ain't other situations. It ain't somebody else's, the kind of car somebody else is driving, the kind of house somebody else has. Your situation is all about you and your ability to focus and manifest the things that are going to make your life be what you want and need it to be. So I turn it
And
back over to you, brother.
and listen, I appreciate you dropping those jewels. And you're right. Like sometimes we can't see our hands in front of our face because of the distractions of life. And you're right. Like that, the energy, the good vibes, it is that avatar that you talk about. And I think that we were all following you 100%. An old timer told me years back. Uh, he goes, Shawn, you could start your day. The blessings of life is you can start your day at any time of the day. And as a young man, that flew by my head. I'm like, old time, what are you talking about? But you really can start your day over at any time of the day because we are allowed the blessings of the 24 hours. Just because it's 24 hours, hour 13, you could go, you know what, I'm gonna start this thing over. It sounds so simple. So, because a lot of the simple tools that we need in life, they're so simple, it flies by our head because we're so into the technology, we're so into the deepest thoughts, which is nothing wrong with that as well. But if you could sit there and realize that God has gave us the blessings of starting our day over at any time of the day is a gift that we should always internalize and use throughout our lives. And of course, once you get older, especially like us, another dude told me that uh, going to school, when you go to school, going to school is a learning process. It's just that sometimes in life, the tuition is high.
Mm.
So we get to a point in our lives, or we should get to a point in our lives where we have some wisdom, some knowledge of our understanding of self to articulate it back to others because of this mistakes that we made. That's where you talk about that energy. That energy comes from you. Okay, so I'm vibing off of you. Now I have some of your energy. I say that respectively, Amir Sealy. Now, you know what I'm gonna do after the show's over? I got my peoples in the crib, and I'm gonna take some of that energy that I got from you, and I'm gonna take the energy and I'm gonna put it into the house and to the people that are here with me, where now they got that good vibes. So I understand what you're saying when that energy, that vibration, if it's a good energy, that energy will articulate to somebody else. It's just like we talked about this recently, but it's just like when you order coffee, you at the drive through and you're about to order your coffee, and the person goes, hey, the guy bought the coffee for you. The other person bought the coffee for you. And if you can, you go, oh, they did? That was so nice. Let me get their coffee. That's that energy, that vibe, and that vibration that you're talking about.
Yes. Yes.
That's what that is. Energy, vibration, the universe, goodwill, it articulates. It's infectious. It's just like a virus. If you get those good energies, those good vibes you talk about, you use the word avatar. Now I can't get that out of my head. But we can take the same energy from our experiences. From our experience in life. Listen, I wasn't talking like this when I was 21.
Nope.
I wasn't talking like this when I was 32.
It's even better. And I think, there's something else that you brought up that's powerful. So, he just mentioned time. And in all fairness, one of the things that I look at and how I look at life is everything is a perspective. And I mean this humbly. I don't want anybody to, take this wrong, but everything is a perspective. I don't say that there isn't right and wrong. I'm saying it's a perspective. And I'm saying it's a perspective because when you really think about your journey in life is going to be different from somebody else's. So whatever your perspective is, to you, it might be right or it might be wrong. But the reality of it all is that was also your unique perspective based off of your journey. Now, he mentioned something that really, stuck me, which is the time continuum. And I say it's a continuum because even that isn't really what it appears to be. we live in a space and in a realm that has rules. You know, some of y'all may or may not be familiar with the movie The Matrix, but if you're not, and especially that first one, I suggest you go watch it when you get a moment, and really don't pay attention to Keanu Reeves or Lawrence Fishburne and all that stuff and the action. Actually listen to the concept and what they're talking about in the movie. But the reason why I bring that up is because when you start talking about time, Shawn is absolutely right. Time is a continuum that man made. And you know it has to be because look at the world as it stands. If you're fortunate enough to travel or blessed enough to travel, you could be in one part of the world and it be daylight and be in a whole different part of the world and it be night. So that goes to show you that it's a continuum. It's not a definitive or finite thing. It's something that each segue has had to kind of figure out for itself. But it's done that based off of also, again, like I said, what their experience is. Getting up early, you know, you hear get up with the roosters and cock-a-doodle-doo and all that stuff. That was because for a very long time, especially in this country, everybody was a farmer. We're no longer in a farming energy, generally speaking. Why? Because now people work in corporate America, people work in the auto industry, people work in the Silicon Valley, and you know all these nefarious other entities that now exist. So the time continuum should have technically changed and or shifted, because what would you need to wake up at the crack of dawn for if you making microchips? Why would you need to make the crack of dawn if you're making auto parts? You understand what I'm saying? But what happens is because it has been for so long structured that way, we then continue in those structures because a lot of times, and again, Shawn has heard me especially say this on his show, we really don't question things anymore. We have become such a interesting society where we just take everything at face value because it has been fed to us. And it doesn't make a difference if it's being fed to you by a friend or family member or whatever, or these nefarious information sites. Because when you start looking at these sites, they'll say something over and over again. And by the time, you heard it the fifth time, you're like, nah, it's got to be true. No, it doesn't. It just has to be. That's what this group happens to be on. And that's what they're pushing, the agenda as it may be, or just their narrative. But I ask and I impress upon each and every person, again, who's, like I said, watching this and who will watch this, go back to critical thinking. Go back to questioning things, because when you start questioning things, it then puts you in a space to not only come up with ideologies and things that will serve you better, but it also can be motivating, because now you can either delete, you can either upgrade, or totally, like Shawn is saying, have these conversations with people in your circle where now y'all are starting to bounce ideologies off of each other that you might, or look at things from perspectives that you may or may not have done prior to that. That's what makes this second go round, or whatever round of life you're in, is having those perspectives, because the perspectives are dope. Like Shawn says, in your 20s, we weren't discussing this. To be honest with you, I said this to somebody recently just to make them laugh. And this is why I said everything is a perspective and a continuum. We are 23 years into 2000. I'm going to say that again. We're 23 years into 2000. The reason why I say that is because a good portion of us were on here. Remember when they said the year 2000, electricity was going to crash. Yeah. Banks were going to get jacked up and all this stuff. We're 23 years past that. And bigger and better than that, it's two things. 23 years means it went from a baby to a young adult, because at 23, you're technically a young adult. And bigger and better than that, which, before I get off of here, before I go any further, I got to give a big shout out to my eldest baby girl today. She made 30. Amira, I love you. And if you get a chance to see this, Daddy loves you. Happy birthday, 30. And what can I say? But I'm sharing that because, again, that's to show you how quickly all of this goes. Some of y'all on here, when I said 30, you thought to yourself, wait a minute, I remember when I was 30. Look at how quickly that went. So that's why I said all of it is, just based off of perspectives, because you're like, wow, I'm that far past. I'm 20 years or so past being 30. What the hell?
Yeah.
Goes quick. You know what I mean?
Well, first of all, happy birthday to your beloved daughter. Wow. Thank you again for putting things in perspective. Did y'all hear what Amir said, guys? He goes, we're 23 years in for the 2000s. Well, thank you for sharing that. And in these times, man, that's the one commodity that's the most precious out of them all is time. I mean, yes, of course, when we were younger, we didn't look at it. We looked at time, but remember when we were younger, time was so slow. And when is it going to be 3 o'clock? And now that I'm at this age, it seems like a day goes by in 12 minutes. And each day that I live by the grace of God, seems like that time moving faster. Time is beautiful, but it's cruel at the same time. It's what you make it. Time can be beautiful. Time is reference points, but you can't fight time. They said it all the time. You fight time, you get your ass kicked. You don't want to live that miserable life. Of course, none of us do, but there are some, it goes back to what the man talks about. The energy, you can't fight that universe. Fight the universe if you want to. You try to defy time. None of us could. Some of us try. You know what we do? We change our whole face to defy time.
Think about that. Think about that. We
change our nose and we change it up. Because we're disrespecting the one commodity. The one commodity that we need the most, that we cherish the most, we disrespect it. Amir, you're right. You are so right. While we're here on this earth, try to the best of your ability, all of us, including myself, to be around that. I love what you just said, that vibration, that energy. Amir, I want to say this. I'm gonna speak for the group. We got what you said. It's still internalizing with me right now. Energy, that good vibe, respect time, humble yourself to time. It's the commodity that time is worth more than money.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah, Shawn. Hey, Shawn. When I say you are so on point today with the points that you've started with, time is one of those things that is it's almost immeasurable, because for some of us, and again, that's why I said everything is perspective. I used 23 years, and I know for some of y'all, or for those who really know me or know my story, I lost my brother back in 2000. So obviously it's 23 years since, I lost my brother. And I look at it sometimes, and, his son now is 26. Yeah, my nephew's 26. So he was like 3 when his dad, left us. And I to his point, so much has changed in the world, even for all of us who are on here. This to show you again, like he said, what time, how time shuffles things up. We went from cassette players, the CDs, the DVDs. What was the other big ones, Shawn? The other big ones before we had CDs and DVDs. Remember the big disc that you plugged in and it played movies or whatever? I can't even remember what the name of those was. But we had.
I can see it, but I can't remember the name of it.
We had radios, we had boom boxes, we had cassette players that you put on your hip with headphones and wires. We had the official stereos. See, this to show you how time changed. We had the official stereos. If you had a stereo in the 80s, it had 795 pieces to it. You had to turn on the equalizer, on the radio part. Right. The record player was a different thing, and it required 999 wires too. By the way, you was in the back there just plugging stuff up. Wait a minute, this goes to that. This goes to that. We fast forward to where we are now, and right now, Shawn is doing this and I'm doing this. We are having this live via our cell phones, which also, by the way, has changed drastically from the 80s to where we are now. Because back in the 80s, there was no way you was getting a video phone call in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
No way. Okay. Like Shawn has done in his comedy. If you've never seen him do it, you went outside, you had $999 in change in your pocket. You was out there at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got to look at, again, how quickly, like you said, time is moving. And I don't say this lightly, and I don't say this with any angst. I'm thankful for the 54 years that I, have had on this planet to this point. Not only because of some of the, a lot of the beautiful things that I've had the opportunity to experience, but to Shawn's point, a lot of the amazing people who I've had the opportunity to encounter and to be a part of their experience and them be a part of mine. This show in particular happens to be one of those things that I truly do look forward to every week. And I'm not sure where it's going to go. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about. I'm not sure, how we're going to look to motivate you guys. But I do know this. I can't wait for Monday to come because it's an opportunity to speak to y'all. And it's an opportunity to give you guys, hopefully, some things that you could take in. And as Shawn just said, hopefully share in your circles, because I feel like this, to his point about synergy and energy, once that good energy is going, boy, it's hard to stop that thing. And it reaches a boiling point that becomes so dope that, to his point, everything feels like it's happening in real time and like clockwork. You're like, Dad, this good thing happened, that good thing happened. But it's because you've tapped into what your energy level is and what you need it to be for you to get the things done that you need to get done. And I just hope and pray that, again, you guys are really drinking this stuff in so that this way you can start applying it. We say that often. We say, it's all about being able to share and to converse. But the reality of it all is all of that means nothing if you don't take it and apply it. And a lot of us don't apply the things that we hear and that we see. We so busy, just regurgitating stuff. You know what I heard? Okay, did you apply it to your life? Have you used it yet to get better and make things great in your situation? You know what I mean?
And we talk about time, and in the camera shot, there's a clock behind me in my office, and it's the time stop. It's the same time.
You see what I'm saying? And you got to think about that. Shawn, it's so crazy because, in theory, again, you're looking at a situation where not only does it stop, but it's the same time a couple of times a day, supposedly day and night. So it's 3 o'clock in the AM, it's 3 o'clock in the PM. Look, y'all, that's why I said you got to think about, a lot of what we are now starting to understand, or a lot of the things that we're starting to understand as far as what life brings to us, how we're able to move through this, like I said, plane in particular, because it is a plane. And like I said, I don't want to be morbid. I don't want anybody to be scared. I say this again humbly, because I do know that there are some of us who are empaths and, all these nefarious things. Some of y'all are probably able to communicate telepathically, whether you really know it and understand it or not, because this top little spot in the top of your head called your pineal gland, that's really what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to really be able to, me and Shawn I could say something to Shawn while we sitting here on the thing, he get the message and be like, okay, that's what we're going to talk about next. But we unfortunately have gone into a space and a place where we're poisoning ourselves, not necessarily by our own design, but to some degree by our own design. And it has to do with everything that we do. I know some of y'all hate to, be honest with yourselves about smoking or drinking or whatever, but that technically is poisoning your system. And as it poisons your system, it stops you from having the capabilities and the abilities that I was speaking of earlier, which is the ability to do just about anything. When I tell you you really have that ability, you really do, but you gotta do your due diligence. You got to clean up this temple, because that's what this really is. This I tell y'all, hear me say this more times than not. This is the greatest computer ever been invented anywhere. This body.
And not only is it it's the greatest instrument ever created, your mind and your body. It allows you to, by the grace of God, have these reference points. I think about when I was a little boy, and then we used to go down to Alabama. My mother was from Alabama, my father and my uncles and my grandmother. They sat on the porch and they looked so content. And I think about it because as we get older, with these reference points, something happens. I'm just keep it on myself. You develop some common sense. You develop open-mindedness to what's going on around you in life because of the reference points in which you've been through in your life, whether if you failed or you succeeded in life. It's a whole, we all have a catalog of chapters in our lives to where we could sit back and go, you know what? I don't have to react the way I did from a particular situation that maybe I used to react negatively 20 years ago, because that got me in trouble. So when you talk about wisdom, and then I'll yield my time back to you, wisdom is another commodity that sometimes we don't take advantage of. We have a story to tell in our lives, and sometimes we even forget the wisdom that will tell us, you know, that's not, you remember when you did that before? That's wisdom. That's what it is. It's a story. You remember when we did that? I don't think we should do that again, because the results are still going to be the same. So sometimes when I look back and I look at the elders and they sit there and they're content with where they're at in their lives, because it's the wisdom and the things that they're going through, whether they failed or they succeeded. And sometimes that's the blessing. So sometimes I see the young folks and they run around, and I'm that guy. I'm the uncle now. I'm looking like, why is he listening to that music? Why is he talking like that? That was me back in those days. But because of the wisdom that I have today, I could sit back with with just the blessing of clarity to go, you know what? Where I'm at right now, I'm good. Because of the reference points that you talk about, these points that happen in our lives, we all should bow down in humility. If we have reference points in our lives, the do's and the don'ts.
Yes.
We should be grateful that we're in a point of our lives. Some of us caught the wisdom early in life, and God bless you. And God bless you. And how did you get that wisdom? You got that wisdom through people that was around you, that energy that Amir talked about. Some of us were blessed to have people in our lives that was that conduit for us to have a good place in life or have that first foot forward. Some of us didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
On a motivational Monday, which leads back to what we talk about, these reference points. So now when I think about, and I'm gonna yield my time. Now when I think about auntie and uncle and grandma sitting there in their rocking chairs in that peaceful state, it wasn't always peaceful, but there was always reference points. And in my life right now where I'm at, I am so comfortable in my skin because I could sit back. We all could sit back and look at our lives and go, damn.
True story.
I did that.
Yo, what's so amazing about that? What you just said, not only the wisdom, but you said, like you said, these reference points. But I think the biggest thing that I took away from what you just shared is the stories. Listen, guys, the one thing that I'm become crystal clear and very aware of, like he said now, especially because we do have these reference points and things, is some of your stories are so phenomenal and so power packed, because some of the things that you guys have overcome, some of the moments that you've had to endure, some of the things that we can't even begin to fathom because our journeys have been different. When you share those stories, and it could be on something like this, or you can actually write a book, or be blessed enough to have a movie or a short or something done about you, or you do it yourself. Never believe or never think that your story isn't one of impact, isn't one of stature, of gumption, because truth be told, somebody will listen to it and take something away that'll resonate with them. One of the things that I didn't talk about with this weekend, another one of your brothers in arms and comrades, he dropped his second Domino Effect 2 on YouTube for the masses to partake in it now. First of all, brilliantly, I thought it was a brilliantly done piece. I thought the first one was brilliant, but I thought the second was even more brilliant. But I share that because to the point of his second piece, he talked about something that we really don't talk about, which is loss. And everybody talks about the victories. You know what I'm saying? We like he said, we started this talking about Michael Jordan and his greatness and LeBron and his greatness. But again, there's moments when you're not so great. And that could be when the cameras are on or when the cameras aren't on. But in those moments, it's the getting back up. It's the continuing to fight. It's the knowing that you have a belief in what it is you're doing and how you're doing it that nobody else can just see. And it doesn't make a difference whether they can see it or not. The point is, you can. And I think that if we start definitively living our lives from that standpoint, from that energy, from that space, you'd find that not only are you achieving so much more your goals, but you're inspiring others. Now I'm gonna share this story, real quick, and then I'm gonna yield my time back to Shawn. A little over a month ago, I got a phone call. I was at work and I got a phone call, and the name came up on my phone, and the gentleman's name was Kenneth Cooper. Now, when I was very young, grade school, Malik's best friend, my brother Malik's best friend, his name was Kenneth Cooper. But through talks and word on the street, they said, Kenneth had gotten some things, and he hadn't been doing so well. So I'm looking at my phone, Shawn, and I'm at work, and I'm like, nah, it can't be. I heard this dude, really gotten some things. So against my better judgment, I said, you know what, let me answer the phone. I answered the phone, and he said, yo, is this Amir? And I said, yeah. I said, but the name that came up on his phone, there's no possible way it could be that person, because based off of my understanding, this person has been through some serious, situations, and there's no way. So he just chuckled and he said, it's me. He said, it's me, big bro. And I said, Kenneth Cooper? And he said, yeah. He said, man, listen. So me, I just gonna share this with you straight up. He said, because of you, because of your brother, because of your family, I got through everything that I really had to deal with. He said, I dealt with some stuff. I was on death row. He said, I've been through some things. He said, but I'm sharing this and I'm calling you. He said, because I've now found God. I've given my life over to God. He said, but more importantly, I never forgot all of the things that you used to try and pour into me when we was kids, because I've known him since grade school. Like I said, he was Malik's best friend in like 1st through 4th grade. So I'm sitting there, Shawn, and I'm listening to the kid, and he's just, going in. He's like, man, I remember this and I remember that. And that's how I really knew it was him. And this is a true story. And I share this with y'all because this is what I mean about impact and not necessarily knowing, what you may be doing to and for somebody. He said, when we was kids, Amir, he said, I remember how you used to be able to command a room without doing anything. He said, you would just give simple, subtle hints of stuff, and then everybody else would kind of move and do things. Now, we little kids, Shawn, so you know me now, as a grown man, an adult, this, that, the third. But this dude knew me as a little kid. And he said, I always loved and respected that about you. And tears just started rolling down my face, because he went on to say, I remember being at 55th. He said, I saw your brother. He said, and he saw me. He was like, cool, what up? He said, your brother had just gotten drafted. He said, said to your brother, what up? So I whispered in his ear, I can still take you. Now, this is the funny thing, Shawn. When we were in 4th grade, this kid was nice in basketball. You know how you see these kids now have handle, they got jump shot. He was like that when we was in 4th grade. He was left-handed, right. He was chubby, but he had game for days. And we really did think if anybody was going to go pro, it was going to be Kenneth, because he had that kind of game, even when we was kids. So he said, I hugged your brother and everything. He said, man, I made a conscious decision at that time. He said, because at that point I was deep, in some stuff, to not be around your brother, because I didn't want to mess up what he had worked so hard to build. And I'm sharing that with y'all for 2 reasons. One, I want y'all to understand that sometimes in your life, whether it be a parent, whether it be a sibling, people don't necessarily walk out of your life because they hate you or because they're trying to hurt you. They may walk out of your life because whatever journey they on, they don't want to drag you down that pathway with them. So don't always be so angry at everybody because, hear their story first. Because then you hear their story and you be like, ooh, I jumped the gun, you know. But when he shared that with me again, like I said, I'm at work, tears just rolling down my face because I was like, that's when you love somebody. When you care enough to sometimes say, let me step away so that I don't involve you in some foolishness that I'm definitely in, but I know that you're not in. That's a love some of y'all may or may not ever be able to really understand. But I share that with y'all because, like I said, the man reached out to me. He called me. He said to me, Amir, I'm coming to New York. I have some business to take care of. I'd love to see you, but more importantly, I'd love to see your mom. So I said, well, when you get to New York, call me. We'll see what we could do. He called me, picked me up. We went to see my mom. He sat in my mother's house for 2 hours with his hands under his chin like this, just listening to my mom's. He said, Miss Sealy, I just can't thank you enough. He said, not only for you, but, for your beautiful children, because they have, had such an impact on my life. I was just again, still blown away because, to be honest with you, Shawn, I didn't think any of that was going on. We kids. I'm just trying to make sure nobody does anything to my brother, trying to make sure my friends are solid. And that's all it meant to me. But I say that and share that with y'all because I want you to know there are people in your circumstances. There are people in your lives. I promise you, got stories just like that for things that you've done for them. So continue to be those great people in people's lives because you don't know how they see you. You know what I mean?
Listen, we can end it right there. That was a very emotional. That was a very emotional story. Thanks for sharing with all of us in the group. Just the impact and the power of your words to people. You just never know. Yes, we do have a story. You think your story don't mean anything in your life, you could share it. And just like you said, it could be one word or one situation that a person could hold on to. You don't think nothing of it. And it changes their lives. And for this young man, it got that. Thanks for sharing. And for this young man to say to you, and some of us are blessed to still have our mothers, because I get emotional. God has blessed me. I still have my mother, and it just it's very emotional for me. But for him to say, listen, after all of that we've been through, and you shared with me to help me in my life, let's stop by and see mom. Let's stop by and see your mother. And the way you said that he hung on to every word that your mother shared is a testament back to that wisdom that we talked about. Thanks for sharing, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's all I got to say.
I promise you, man. And like I said, when I said I was blown away because he remembered everything from our childhood, just, stories that I knew this was him because nobody else could know those things. And he was just like, he said, but Amir, I promise you, he said, man, he said, even when I was locked down, he said, I was locked down. He said, your brother was, playing and I'm telling cats, in the joint, yo, nah, that's my best friend. And they like, yeah, all right, cool, whatever. He like, nah, I'm telling you, I grew up with him, man. We, I've known him since we was little kids, whatever. He said, but Amir, I hung on to all that. He said, because, man, he said, I remember you used to always just be, he said, and I know, you knew I was into some other stuff. He said, but you never made me feel crazy about it. You always, kind of just was that big brother who, extended his hand to be like, dog, you could do better, man. Like, what you doing? Like, there's other things that you could do. Whatever it is you're doing, obviously you feel compelled to or you feel obligated to do, but there is definitely other things that you could do. And if you just would give yourself the opportunity to see some of these other things or to try some of these other things, there's a possibility for you to, do, like I said, amazingly in a totally different way. And I share that with y'all because some of you are sharing those same kind of sentiments with people in your circles. Some of you are pouring into some of the same people in your circles. And right now, even though it seems or feels as though that may not be, getting to them, I promise you, it is. It's not you, it's them. And they have to figure out a way to go, dang, this person wouldn't keep pouring into me. This person wouldn't keep trying to ensure that, I go a different way or help me see the beauty in myself that I may not see in myself. If they really didn't believe it, if they really didn't see it. And I think that for this Motivation Monday and, for what it is we do here, please understand that that's powerful because, like I said, you don't always get your flowers, maybe right there in the moment, but that's okay. I always tell everybody I do things from my heart because that's really where it's from. If it comes back in some way, shape, or form, I'm thankful and mindful of it, but I didn't do it because of that. I did it because my heart and my spirit said, hey, that's what you need to do, or that's how you need to go about that situation. And I feel like if more of us kind of, moved along those lines or in that energy, in that vein, you'd find a lot more doors opening. You'd find a lot more things happening in a positive way, and you having more of an impact overall in the people and the things in your life, because that's, like Shawn said earlier, what this is all about. This is about us all impacting one another. This isn't about me or him or talent. Or I saw Alfredo, which, by the way, Alfredo, I did see on there, you say you'd be 60 this month. So, happy birthday to you. I know it's Gemini season. I don't know if you're a Gemini or, you run all the way to the end of the month. But, happy birthday to you. And that's what this is about. This is about us, giving each other the blessings, us doing what I say that poem says, helping each other to turn that light on in one another. Because once you turn that light on, it's hard as heck to turn that bad boy off. It really is. Because you start seeing how it's impacting others and how it's helping others turn their light on. And that's really what we're here for. Turn that light on. Be that shining star. Be that brightness. Be that, and be your version of it too. Please don't try to emulate somebody else. Shawn, hit the nail on the head. Like you said, this wisdom and this aging, y'all understand there's a beauty to it, because unfortunately we're seeing so many people die young, or pass away young. So embrace this stuff, y'all. Don't be in here, man, because, listen, you're here. You still got an opportunity, like you said, whether it's an hour, a day, a moment, to do it all over again, to make it better, or make it whatever you think it should be. But go for it. Swing for the fences. Shit, if you hit a triple, it's still a triple. You know what I'm saying, Shawn? Trying to hit it out the park, but if you get a triple, it's a triple. Nobody can't take that away from you. You know what I mean? So
we're okay hitting a whole bunch of singles, but it's truly a blessing, my brother. I got to run. Motivational Monday once again. I'll just say what you just said, dude. We just hit this one out the park, and we're all here to help each other get through sometimes the day or even the moment. So everyone who's listening to this show, a shout out to the New York King Talent. Thank you for getting me through these moments with the energy and the vibration. And I'm gonna throw in Amir Silly's other word, the avatar of it all. So I appreciate y'all.
Love y'all. Everybody have a good evening. It's Motivational Monday. We see you in 7 days. Let's get it done.
Yo, love y'all. Peace and blessings, everyone.
It's Monday, cocksuckers, and you better come prepared, because they don't fuck around on Monday. Monday, most people come in, I had such a great weekend. Oh my God, go fuck yourself. That was then. This is now, bitch. It's a whole new set of rules. It's Monday. If you ain't waking up with a taste of blood in your fucking mouth like a shark 5 feet from the shore, you fucked up. You understand? Because Monday is when you go, everybody else is like, still the weekend, you fucking go.